we are going to be working on the Halloween haberdashery quilt because we just kitted this up using a fabric line called Totally Twilight. You guys, this line has gold glitter.
Black glitter.
Black, that's what I meant. Black glitter. Guys, candelabras, roses, spider webs,
Cats.
black cats, bats. I mean, it's
gorgeous.
freaking
Actually,
awesome.
it was one of those we usually buy fabric lines
When we have a
with
project
good
in mind.
projects. We didn't love any of the projects that came with this one, but we loved the fabric.
Yes. So we
Got it
started on
anyway.
our own project. And it's going to be this. If you're unfamiliar with the Halloween haberdashery, that's a mouthful, quilt, is a Melissa Mortensen quilt pattern. It is awesome. It can be a great scrap buster. It feeds my low volume soul.
Right, because you see, you could go with just a couple of backgrounds on this, or
But that
you could
would not be
completely
okay.
raid our shop and come up with like 20 different white low
Which
volumes.
is what we did. We have, so for the kit for this quilt, we have 20 different low volumes curated
And they are from
everywhere. I mean, there's everything.
We thought we had a lot of low volumes at the shop,
And then Jen and I said, we need to pick 20. Okay.
and away we went.
And it was fun.
It was so fun.
And then we finished the pile, and all of us were like, I just want the pile. Is it
Right, it was a good pile.
so fantastic?
It's still a good pile.
It still is a good pile. Also,
Okay.
okay, so this uses a funky triangle.
It does use a funky triangle.
That's what she said.
Liz and I both have accumulated a lot of triangle rulers over the last couple of years.
None of them are
None
this
of
one.
them are this angle. So,
This is like a
In-
75
ish.
degree-ish. I don't
So,
know. It's not on
in
my
this
rulers.
pattern, which is awesome, you get a paper template. Paper templates are, well, you can use them.
Yes. I don't want to cut the paper in my pattern
No, because then you damage your pattern. So, we photocopy.
onto cardstock. This is not normal printer paper. This is cardstock.
Little
It's
heavier. So it's a lot nicer to, if you need to cut it out and cut around it, the cardstock is a little heavier. Another great option when you don't want to use paper is this great stuff, which is clear, called template plastic. It's a very lightweight.
$1.49 a
Plastic.
sheet.
Right. So when I use template plastic, I will just, with my ruler, trace these lines around the triangle
My Sharpie.
with a Sharpie. Cut it out with some scissors because this is not fabric. Don't damage your nice scissors or rotary blade
Yeah,
with it.
see, I brought cheapy scissors today.
I also keep around
Actually,
an old
these used to
rotary
be fabric
cutter.
scissors.
I keep around an old rotary cutter with an old rotary blade for cutting out stuff like this and gift wrap.
Yes.
Among other
So,
things.
We're
So-
not going to use the template
But
plastic
the
version
joy
today,
of template plastic is sometimes you want a fussy cut, something like this.
especially with these.
I made this quilt a couple of years ago with a different kit, and it had some really fun cameos in it that I wanted right in my witches' hats. So the benefit of the template plastic is I can lay it exactly on what I want, which is awesome. The third method, which
I'm going to show you in just a
we're
minute.
gonna do because
actually
it's my
do.
favorite, just involves using math.
You guys know that we like them. We actually kind of like math.
Yeah, don't tell any of my math teachers that though.
No, because I didn't like it in school. But as a grown-up, I
Math
find
is
that
awesome.
Math is really cool.
So we have a triangle here, and what we're gonna do.
So if I
is
measure this triangle,
measure.
so it had on the piece of paper that it was a 5-inch base. So we know that that's 5 inches. Now if I measure this way, because my sewing room is full of rulers, you guys,
Right.
I have measuring tools. It's 6 inches to the point. So it starts out as a 5x6 rectangle. I've done the math on the fat quarters in this kit. You need about 7.5 hats out of every fat quarter, so make 8. You can get 8 5x6 rectangles plus the base of the hat out of a fat quarter. So I've done the math. You can do this.
It totally works.
The method described in the pattern, real fast, involves cutting a 6-inch strip, laying down your template like this, and then just reversing it back and forth.
Which totally works. If
Totally
your
good.
fabric's
See, you're
not
going to get like
directional.
7 of them out of one 6-inch strip. It's very good if you're trying to efficiently use your fabric. It's a totally valid method.
Oh, it's a great method. It's a
doing
really
this.
good, efficient use of fabric, and then you have like tons of leftovers for
Which
other
is
awesome
also
projects.
super awesome. So we measured it 5 by 6, right? So I have right here a 5 by 6 inch rectangle. But how do I know where the point is?
Well,
This
it
is
would be in the middle.
way too easy. So I knocked our pattern over. So what is half of 5, Jen?
That would be 2.5, and my
Okay.
5-year-old can tell you that.
Also true. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark
Seriously, guys, quote math, not hard math.
right here at 2.5 at the very top of my rectangle. Take my fancy ruler. It's not a fancy ruler, it's a straight edge. Go to the point down here at the bottom and my point right here at the top where I marked it. Also, you guys are going to find out that this block is super crazy forgiving.
Right, we're gonna end up trimming this twice. So,
Lots of room for error.
plus, if your witch's hat is slightly wonky,
It will be awesome.
that will be
because
great too. But all we're doing here is trimming this off. Now, if your fabric's directional, you're gonna want to do something like this instead of the flipping your triangle upside down, because now I'm gonna show Liz another way we can do this and still do it upside down without using a paper template.
So here's my, yes, you can do more quote math.
You can totally do more quilt math. So what I can do is lay this out here, and
Mark 2.5 inches in.
if I mark
That's a Sharpie, not a Frixion pen.
if I mark 2.5 inches in from the edge here, and then come down here and mark 5.
You'll notice I marked on the back side because it's a little bit lighter.
Right.
Because I'm using
But
this
if
heavily
I
printed
start
fabric.
2.5 over here and then go 5 more
all the way down.
all the way down, and then up here mark 5 and go 5 all the way down, I can just use my ruler and cut like this between all the markings.
Same thing without having
And-
to try with paper.
And that way you don't have to use the paper, but it'll still get you the same result.
Also, you can just mark it like this with the paper.
Or you can do that too. So there's lots of ways to do this. We just like to show ways to use the paper templates because a lot
Paper
of times
templates
paper
can be intimidating because what happens if you accidentally cut the paper or you...
well, and you know, a lot of times we're like, well, I don't want to cut along the paper because I need my straight edge. But, you know, and you can put your ruler over the
I
top of
put
the
my
template
ruler over the top of the template, you guys. I would cut like this.
once the template's
In the
squared
right spot.
where it goes.
I would absolutely do that. Okay,
Anyway.
so those are different ways to cut our funky triangle.
Totally. Lots
Now,
of ways.
we're going to show you how to piece this sucker. It's so easy. So easy.
Did we give ourselves power?
Yeah, I did. Thought I did.
Now we did.
Okay, so this is the only funky shape in this block. Other than that, we're going to deal with big old rectangles. So what we have here is 2 big rectangles. Now you'll notice my directional prints went sideways. I think it's fun. What you'll do is you'll take your triangle, guys, the smaller piece goes on top. So that you can
Always.
see what you're doing.
Always.
All right, we're gonna put it over this rectangle and pretty much in the middle. We're gonna split the difference of the overage here.
Which is really the exact same thing when we were doing last week with Janet Nesbitt, Ray Nesbitt's
Turn dashes.
wonky turn dashes that we were doing.
So we're gonna go ahead and sew that seam. Cakewalk. And I'm gonna give her the base of the hat pieces to
Because
chain piece because
we
she
all
needs
know
that.
we need leaders and enders. This one's to flop out. And scissors.
Okay, so we're gonna press in towards the triangle. So in this case, it's pressing to the dark side. Yeah, guys, I'm not pressing open. Be proud of me.
Because sometimes pressing open is the wrong answer.
Oh, I guess I should turn on an
It
iron.
does help.
Okay, it'll get hot in a second. That's about how long it takes.
Right.
Maybe. Did plug it in. Oh, it's heating up. Okay,
It's plugged.
so we're gonna press towards the center here. If you want to, you can go ahead and trim off this piece right here.
It will make it easier for you to line up. You can use scissors. You can use a rotary cutter.
I can just, it
It's
doesn't
like
need to
I
be
said,
perfect.
this is so much like what we were doing last week.
I'm just gonna take
Where
scissors and
after we've sewn our wonky piece, we then create a new straight edge, and then we're going to
so it's not perfectly straight because I did it with scissors, but it's gonna be totally fine because we're gonna trim it again. The reason that we want to do that though is because I don't want all that extra bulk in my block,
no, we want to get rid of that.
right? Because bulk is
Um,
dangerous. So we're gonna
do
dangerous.
you realize that text is it's French,
Yes, I do realize that.
but
it's in French,
it's
but I
talking
don't know what it
about
says.
I read the line that said "C'est la nuit," and I'm like, oh, it's the night de Noël of Christmas.
Okay, it's French Christmas text.
And then this right here is Charange. So it's like Dear Angel.
Nice.
It's awesome.
So same thing though.
I have to read text prints.
Here's the point of my hat, and the point on the triangle. We're splitting the difference.
Still splitting the difference.
Here's the other piece of that one.
Awesome. Because we know I have to change this.
I know. Your tension's awful.
Yep. It is.
That's okay. Find that plastic thing well off for you.
Right? Alright. And I'm going to give this to her so she can press
So
it.
I brought my. Now these I did press open.
Because why not? And they're little.
Because we're gonna, this is a 1-inch piece, you guys, which means it's gonna end up at half of an inch. So anything I can do to reduce the bulk in that is gonna help.
Right?
So that's why I pressed that one open.
But if you want to press to the side,
Feel free. It's up to you.
nothing wrong
It's your
with that.
quilt. Do what you want to do.
Right?
Just telling you what I do. You don't have to do what I do. Heavens no. Okay.
Oh, it's because it popped out of the loop.
Oh, that'll do it.
I fixed it.
Good job.
It's like, why is my tension being weird?
Okay. So what we have here is not a rectangle.
No. No, it's not.
Clearly.
I'm going to have to sew this off.
Yeah, I know. Just gotta sew it to this. Alright. So we have a very funky piece here.
Mm-hmm.
We are gonna cut this down to 6 inches by 8.5.
We're going to trim it.
So, but when we cut it down to 6 by 8.5, we want this point to be in the center, and I want to make sure I'm not going to lose my point, so I'm going to cut probably about half an inch up because that's what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let Jen finish sewing the base of this hat, right, while I do that. Okay, so that's why I brought my big ruler, because my 8-inch ruler is 8 inches, not 8.5. So that's awesome. But it's exactly 6 inches wide. So that helps me to be able to see where I'm at. Right? And what it tells you in the instructions is to trim at the base of the hat. And if that means straightening it out just a tad, then that's totally fine. So like if the base of your hat got just a tiny bit wonky, you can do that. So there's the top. We'll flip it over and do the bottom. And then I'm going to want to find my center. I feel like I'm teaching a yoga class.
Find your center.
Find your center. Yeah, see, I got little tiny pieces of the bottom of the hat. Perfect. Okay, so finding the center. Now what I want to do, and actually I can go ahead and take this ruler, because it's, oh,
Small.
no, that's good. Just kidding, I'm going to use this guy.
Right, because you need to measure
I need
4.5. She's gonna measure 4.5.
I'm going to 4.5 from the point of the...
Wait, 8.5? You need 4.25.
4.25. Thank you.
You're
I was
welcome.
like 4.5. So I'm going to measure 4.25
Because we take 8.5 and divide it in half.
from the point of the hat at the top, because that is my center. That's where I want the center to be. And of course, lining up the lines on the ruler with the top and the bottom of the block to make sure I'm square. Then we'll turn it over.
And do the same thing.
And just to double check, I'm going to go this way and measure at 8.5. You guys, this block is going to get trimmed down again.
Yep.
So don't stress. See, and I'm at 4.25 again. So perfecto.
Awesome. Would you like to press this?
I guess so. So that's the top of our hat. So Jen went ahead and sewed the 2 little rectangles to the side of the base of the hat, and then we have a bigger rectangle that goes here. I did press the seam open on mine because
I thought you would.
well, the reason I'm doing it, you guys, is because I'm thinking ahead as to the fact that this is going to butt up right next to another hat block.
Which is exactly the same. So if they're
Which
all
is exactly the
pressed
same. So
toward the brim, it's gonna get bulky.
this is the one seam really that could get really bulky that way, and so I'm trying to avoid that bulk.
Now, if you think way ahead on your placement, and you know this hat's gonna be here and this
You
hat's
can
gonna
press
be
some
here,
up towards the brim.
you
at
could
some point,
alternate.
I
that-
can't think that far ahead.
No,
I mean, I'm thinking ahead, but not that far.
right. Which is why pressing it open there makes things easier.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put these 2 together like this. Look, they're not exactly the same size. Guess what? Doesn't matter.
It's fine.
We're gonna go ahead and put our brim, center it on
the hat.
the hat top. And I'm actually pinning you guys. Be impressed.
It's because when a piece is bigger like this, it needs to be pinned.
Also, we're dealing with fabric cut off grain,
Right.
and so it's extra stretchy.
Right.
You can go ahead and starch this ahead of time. A little bit of best press is good if you're going to be cutting.
Anytime you're cutting
Cross grain.
it's a good idea to use some kind of starch sizing spray, something to keep it from moving.
Then now my 8-inch square is going to come in handy.
Press that open as well.
Because, yes, we're going to press this one open for the same reason. It is going to be bulkier in towards the hat. But once again, when we go to piece these together in rows,
Right.
it's helpful.
Because these individual blocks don't have any sashing between them. And so, as you can kind of see in this design, this whole row of hats meets up. And so if they're all pressed the same way, it's going to get really bulky where you're putting that together.
Mhm.
And we don't love that.
Bulk is hard.
It's hard to get it to lay flat and look nice. It's also harder to quilt through. You're more likely to break a needle, which can puncture holes in fabric. So let's just avoid that.
So I'm avoiding bulk because that's what I do. Okay, so I have this cute little hat block. It's approximately, you guys, 8.5 inches square. It's actually pretty darn close. But to make this even easier for you, in case yours didn't turn out perfect, we trim it down to 8 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and take my handy dandy 8-inch square ruler and put it right.
It's upside down.
If I'm going to use this ruler, I might as well use the grippy side.
Right, the Quilter Select rulers have that awesome grippy back, so, using it upside down is...
Okay, so what we're going to
Useless.
do when we do this is I've got it, you can try and center it exactly. What I've done is I've centered the 4-inch line on the point of my hat, because once again, that's the top, right?
And how we know it's centered coming down to the bottom is that
I have a
It's a
straight line
straight line.
across the bottom. Now, because I want to make sure I leave plenty of room in the top for my points, I'm going to trim it, leaving 1/2 inch above the point of my hat.
I
Which
agree.
is not exactly centered on the block, you guys. I'm going to be cutting more off the bottom than the top. You can do it however you want to do it. Just make sure you leave at least 1/4 inch above the point of your hat to make sure you don't lose your points. But I'm going to give a little bit of extra room. And so consistently on this quilt, I'm going to trim it at 1/2 inch.
It does help to choose a spot and stick with it for all of them, because that's what's going to allow your hats to be in a nice straight row.
because it has,
Otherwise, you're going to have them just step up and down a little bit all down the row. And there are blocks that are just the low volume backgrounds without any hat. The other fun blocks in this quilt are some
there's
pumpkins.
a few pumpkins.
There are 3 pumpkins. That's why we have our 3 oranges there and a
And
little
the
bit of
green.
green. And those get put in there. It's a nice splash of color and something different. I'm not going to tell you how to make those because those are very simple piecing, and Melissa wrote a wonderful pattern. So,
And we think you should love it.
and we think you should love it.
We do.
We have the pattern in the shop by itself. We also, like she said, made several of these kits.
Seriously, how awesome is that?
It's so cute.
Such a cute hat.
We
Now I
got
gotta go home
some.
and make 38 more of them.
Right. Well, I'm gonna go home and do some other Halloween piecing today. After I go to the
Which-
shop and get some fabric.
We got some new fabric in yesterday to
Lots.
recolor this guy behind us.
So this one got really popular last year, but we didn't have a lot of this fabric. This quilt, by the way, is for sale. Just throwing that out there.
We're gonna have a quilt sale later this month, so stay tuned.
I'm going to go home and I made the blocks a little smaller for this next one, and we're adding a border and a couple more blocks. And it's gonna be a little rainbowy Halloween.
Dia de los Muertos.
Dia de los Muertos. Well, I guess it's not Halloween, it's Dia de los Muertos.
Just different.
It's awesome. It is
And
different.
my daughter is going to die.
Right, my Charlotte the other day said, well, that could be Gracie's birthday present. You make it. I'm like, you mean next year? It could be Gracie's
I
birthday
say her
present.
birthday's in July. It's a little
Right.
early. But yeah,
She would love it.
She totally would.
I love it.
We saw that fabric when, and I'll post it later, when our fabric rep came and showed it to us. And I don't think I was back there. And Sarita yells and is like, Liz!
Get back
She's like,
here.
I found Gracie fabric. And it's totally Gracie
And
fabric.
it is.
And it's fantastic.
It's awesome.
And it's even better in person.
so much better in
So
person.
stay tuned for
I'll-
a bundle picture.
I'll get a
and
picture of my
Jen will get
stack.
it pieced.
It's gonna be awesome. This is such a fun block because it goes together really fast, and
it plays with lights and darks. So
It
it
does.
totally lends itself towards this fabric. I'm just so excited.
it's gonna be great.
We have lots of other new fabric in the shop. I promise a newsletter is coming.
Yeah, I gotta go home and write a pattern.
Kind of waiting for her and me. I'm sorry.
We'll
We're
do
late.
it. But yeah. Anyway,
Oh, we had a sale to tell you about. So, in an effort to make some room at the shop, because if you're local and come in, you know we are back to the brim. We went through and found all the kits we've had for a little longer, and by a little I mean like a year,
right.
And,
so if the kid's a year old or older,
with very few exceptions. They're now
Very
in our clearance section at 30% off. So there have been that's what I spent my day yesterday doing, was packing the clearance
there's
section.
a lot, and I'm gonna run over
with
there real
kids.
quick and grab a couple.
So check out our clearance on our website or in the shop. There's tons.
Yeah.
and
So the clearance
so
section
many.
right now is packed with kits.
Yeah, kits, not just yardage. Tons of kits.
And really good kits,
Good
you know, because
ones.
we don't buy ugly fabric.
Duh.
We
We
only
only
buy
buy-
pretty things.
Only buy things we like.
Our-
I might have taken a couple home last night.
Our buying strategy is what Liz, Sarita, and I want.
Yes, we buy what we like.
We like to say we shop for you guys,
Mostly we shop for us,
but
and
we
we
mostly
promote it
shop
to you
for
guys.
us.
Sorry,
So- Not sorry.
Actually.
It makes us very excited to make things and do things with it, and
It's easier to sell fabric.
there's
you
so
love.
much pretty fabric, and there are other great local shops and online shops that carry what we don't, and that's great because there's too much out there for us to carry all of it.
Yeah, clearly, because we carry a small percentage and we are
we
packed.
try to carry all of it, but we can't.
We can't do it. We can't even carry all the stuff we like.
We can't carry all the stuff we love.
I know. It's hard.
It's so hard.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Go shop our clearance section. It's super awesome
and,
right now.
And yeah, we've got Halloween in the store. We have more coming. Christmas
We have
is
more
arriving.
Christmas arriving.
Um,
Simple Simon's Christmas just showed
Simple-
up.
oh,
It's
and it's so pretty.
adorable.
Gorgeous giant panels.
So pretty.
Yeah, so check us out, and we will get a newsletter out later this week.
Because I promise we'll get it this
We
weekend.
will do it this weekend. Good thing I work the next 2 days.
She's gonna.
I'm
figure
gonna
it out.
write a pattern today.
Awesome.
All right,
guys.
everybody, have a great day. We will talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.